Well, MBA was actually never planned. It is actually growing realization that surfaced through my work experiences. Uh, but then it is like I'm already 3 months pregnant. In 5 months, I will have a baby and I won't have time at all. It is now
Yeah.
or never. I took the help of another consultant in 2024. I did not convert anything. So that left me clueless. Again, I followed NCB and I remember Samir Kamat. He had posted a 10-minute casual chat on LinkedIn. I signed up for that.
Hmm.
And after talking to him, he actually connected me with you. You made me realize like what was lacking, what is the deficiencies there. I got into admits from everything, from
That's true.
all the four schools that I applied, A, B, C, and ISB.
What does it take to get into an elite business school? MBA Crystal Ball is a boutique admissions consulting firm. Each year, we help a select few applicants get into the world's best business schools. Here's one of our success stories to inspire and educate.
Hello and welcome to MBA Crystal Ball's YouTube channel. Smruti had several things going for her, and she applied with confidence, making it to all her dream schools, which itself landed her in a happy dilemma most candidates want to be in. Let's hear all about it from her directly. Welcome, Smruti.
Thank you, Manish.
Thanks for sharing your story with us. To begin with, can you share something about yourself and your qualifications?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Um, Thank you for inviting me, first of all. I am Smruti Sarita Swain. I am basically from Odisha. My schooling has happened there in multiple districts because we had to change our places for the transferable job of my father in forest department. And finally, after 12th, I have done my BTech from NIT Rourkela in electronics and instrumentation. And also, I have done my MTech from IIT Bombay in aerospace controls specialization.
Got it. So that's a very wide kind of experience, and you were doing what you liked. What prompted you to pursue or think about an MBA?
Well, MBA was actually never planned,
Hmm.
never initially planned. It is actually growing realization that surfaced through my work experiences. I am my work in Airbus and Collins. These are all deeply technical, which I loved definitely. But then, whatever component I am developing, whatever technology I am working on, but what that is the what of the story. Then, what is the why? How it is
Hmm.
done? How it is financed? How the marketing is done? How the, for example, Airbus A350 is financed, pitched, and going for the global airliners.
Hmm.
So those backstories I never had a chance to see and experience. And that was like I felt like I am looking through a keyhole and a technical siloed structure. I wanted to have a holistic understanding of the things. And again, that was a professional part. And while networking from my colleagues, my ex-colleagues, my friends, and even my husband, who is an IIM Indore alumnus, so I understood the first-hand account of MBA learnings, how it will give you a all-rounding development, that experience, that knowledge. So that helped me like, okay, I want to do one MBA, and it will definitely help me understand the bigger picture
Totally makes
that
sense.
there is.
Right, absolutely. And so once you decided, came the GMAT. So talk to us about your GMAT journey.
Yeah, GMAT journey is a real roller coaster for
Hmm.
me. It started back in 2023.
Hmm.
I was working in Collins at the time. Obviously, you will get very little time after work, and it took me 3 takes actually for the final score. The first one I was very underprepared, but still I went through the attempt. It was 670 in the previous one, the
Yeah.
GMAT Classic, which is not sufficient. I understood, and back then in my mind it was like I will also apply to global school as well as Indian B school.
Hmm.
So 670 is not a good starting point, but I thought, and then I prepared. I thought like I'll take a second chance, and I prepared again for 3 to 4 months, and it was 2024. I remember, but I don't know, for whatever reason my score plummeted down, even lesser than the first one. So I had to cancel that score, and then I just paused for a while because at that time personally I was already 3 months pregnant. So what is lying ahead of me? How I can make the switch? How can I make the next attempt? That was a real question. And at the same time, GMAT actually changed its pattern from GMAT Classic to GMAT Focus. And then this data insights, this section was introduced, which was my Achilles heel actually, because I have to prepare again from the scratch for
Mm.
that section. Quant was really good for me. Verbal was okay, and I knew I could improve that. But data insight was really a new, like a new ball in the court. Uh, but then it is like I'm already 3 months pregnant. In 5 months, I will have a baby, and I won't have time at all. It is now
Yeah.
or never situation, right? So I gave it all in. I prepared for again 3 4 months, and in June it was my third attempt. And I remember that day because I was already 9 months
Wow.
all like due, and I knew like it can be any day. That day
Wow.
I can have any anxiety, I can have any pains, anything
Yeah.
can happen that. But I like okay, now I have to give it. I have to just be okay and go. And fortunately, that day went fine, and that score when it came, it is like 655. I was relieved because it translates to a 710
Yeah.
classic. It is a really good, decent, if not the best, but at least a decent score to go on. And yeah, that is I was done for it, and June it was. After that, okay, in my journey, the resources, a couple of resources I have referred to. eGMAT is one because it has very detailed concepts, quizzes, sigma mocks, all were very good. What I found, the main thing that helped me was the sectional tests because you can know where your improvements are, where you are lacking, correct? And for then GMAT Club, which is like the Bible
Yeah.
of all the GMAT applicant. Their mocks and quizzes were top notch that I used. Also used another prep course, but I would did not I was not benefited much. So these two were the major ones, and they helped much. And after that, obviously, I did not get much time, so GMAT story was closed for me. I worked on my application.
Right, right. That's a very impressive story. I was not aware of it. Must have been like really, really tough. So, so GMAT done, when you had a baby coming, so how did you kind of go about with your applications? How did you discover MB Crystal Ball? Why did you choose to work with us?
Yes, that was quite a thing because 2024 July, June my GMAT is done. July I delivered a baby boy, and I was on maternity leave for the next six
Right.
months.
Very nice.
I took a break of 1 to 2 months. All the baby duties, the even I was on leave. Of course, the schedule was very hectic for me. But then I thought like let's try for the application because you never know next year what is going to come. Correct. NCB MBA Crystal Ball I was following for a while, but for some reason I did not go through. I took the help of another consultant in 2024, and but it was already late.
Right.
Because for Indian B schools, IIMs ABC, this is like the round three for me. It I knew there was risk because the chances of selection somewhat reduces. And for ISB, it was round two, and I also applied to two global B schools round two. Uh, After all the work, I knew I had little time, but I gave my best. I worked with the consultant. But I was lucky to get interview invites from all the colleges that I applied, except one. But then I applied only to IIM AB and ISB and two B schools, global ones. Interview invites came in. I was able to prepare, but it was not full
Mm.
preparation for interviews. So I did not convert anything. Four interviews, but no admits. So that left me clueless. It was early 2025. All the results were done. But since I got interview invites, so I understood like my profile has strengths. But again, what was lacking, whether it was the application, the essays, or the interview, that I had no idea. So then I was exploring how to go because with a personal situation is also very demanding with a 7 month old baby. So how to go forward? And if I am going forward, I am getting another attempt. I decided like, okay, I will give my second attempt at the application and that will be the last one. Then I saw, like again, I followed NCB, and I remember Samir Kamat. He had posted a 10-minute casual chat on LinkedIn. I signed up for that, and after talking to him, he actually connected me with you.
Right.
And over mail, we exchanged like conversations. We had like my background, my stories, and he also took a look at my profile and my essays. And then you made me realize like what was lacking, what is the deficiencies there. And then after uh, a good email exchange, we focus like I signed up for the your package, and Avinash, he was my mentor. You connected me with him. So that's how I found like I got the chance to work with you. And then onwards, Avinash also took a look at all my previous work, and he was very clear on it. Like the stories, few couple of stories are already prepared for my previous application, but the thing is, like the clarity was not there, the depth, that conviction that should come out clearly, which was not present at the moment. Then I and Avinash worked for next 3 to 4 months dedicatedly, and yeah, we applied for
Right,
4 schools.
right. I mean, so you applied with more confidence, so how did the interviews go this time, and how did you compare, I mean, previous year versus this year? What do you think was different?
Definitely, it was different, very different, in fact. What I was very impressed while working with Avinash because you will put stories in your application, but then how to throw light on the crucial aspects,
Yeah.
that's what a mentor should do. And Avinash did a perfect job there. And even one, I will say another story which I actually omitted from my application. It is from my one of the professional stories. And he was able to show me that this is one of the reasons that motivated you for MBA. Why are you not including it? You should do it for sure. So that was one major thing I included in my essays this time. And but the depth that the outcome should see, that was not coming out clearly in my previous attempts. So Avinash, he made it structured in a very structured way, and also the aesthetic appeal of the stories. That also he was very good at. Even I was also very like happy to see one of the opening lines of my essays, and one of my personal stories that got very beautifully pitched there. The second thing is like where the positioning of this story, how much, what is the blend of professional and personal story that should come in, correct? That was also a very nice aspect that Avinash showed me. Third thing, I also signed up for the interview package with you, and Avinash took 2 mocks for me. But again, I will say apart from the questions and the mocks, the one-to-one discussions that Avinash had with me, and he being a IIM alumnus himself, he gave me the practical tips like what actually outcome wanted, how you should convey your communication style. All those things helped me a lot. So this time, what we did, like polishing our stories, polishing our essays in a very solid and punchy way, and preparing really well for the interview. And be prepared. That will, even for the interview, not just application, that will be my mantra for everyone. So that worked for me because this was my second attempt. Reapplicant I was actually. So I was very skeptical about everything, but it turned out very well because of all the hard work put into.
So, tell us, where all did you interview? Where all did you get an invite? Where are you headed?
Yeah, sure. So I applied to IIM ABC and ISB, and I was incredibly fortunate to have received invites from all of them this time also. And that was my first success, I would say, because as a reapplicant,
Yeah.
I was hesitant, like what will happen, but I got interview invites again. For each of the interview, it is a little bit different, right? IMA is it consists of an extempore first, and then a conventional interview, and the panel is all props. So I got like three-member panel, sorry, two-member panel, and my extempore was on startups, their unicorn status and all. What I learned was like you should have a opinion-based learning approach for these kind of things. And then the interview was like a good mix of your work experience,
Right.
your industry, your career goals, all those things. So it was a very nice interview, I will say. It was not grilling, it was okayish, and it left me in a good mood after the interview. Then it was ISB. Again, ISB is like all by alums.
Yeah.
Correct. There were four alums in my panel. It was a very engaging interview, I would say. They went very deep dived into my work. I drive like factory simulation projects. So they asked me even to the length that you describe the process of assembling, and they were not afraid of using any technical jargons because
Nice.
they all came from technical backgrounds, what they told me. So we had a very good conversation for 30 minutes, and of course about the extracurriculars and the career goals as well. And fortunately, on the same day, uh, uh, IIM B interview was also scheduled
Wow.
in the same day in the afternoon. At the time, it was a very like I had to rush from ISB to IMB campus. I reported there at 2, but my interview happened at 5 p.m., 4 hours later almost. I was the last one to go into the room, obviously exhausted. There was no one in the corridor. I was the last candidate. But the professors were really cool, full of energy, started with a very jolly note. But this interview was a little bit different from IMA and ISB because many fact related questions were asked about my industry, like aerospace, about Airbus, about Boeing, about Collins, like what were their past programs, why did they stop, why did they prosper, and what is the current initiatives, what is the future technologies.
Right.
So there are a few fact-based questions which I was not able to recollect.
Of
This
course.
went like okay.
Right.
I was not so like looking forward, but also it was not in a bad
Right.
experience. So I was like, okay, fine. Two interview went well. This is neutral. And then finally, the last one was IIM Calcutta. Calcutta was like 15 minutes, very fast, super fast, I will say. I just went in, there was a casual exchange and two, three questions on the work experience and a personal question, I would say, and we are wrapped up. And other people were grilled, but mine went fine for Calcutta. So this time for all the interview, actually I prepared very well. I did not left any stone unturned this time. Starting from my work ex, very detailed, my company, my industry, my career goals, how they align with my work experience, how they align with my future vision. Everything was very well prepared, which was lacking in my previous approach. And that actually uh, uh, builds confidence, right? It builds confidence and shows up in your communication style, in your speech. And that I think worked really well for me this time.
Right. So you got admits from where all? Where are you headed? How did you decide between the multiple admits?
Yes. So this is very like I got into admits from everything, from
That's
all the four schools that I applied, A, B, C, and ISB. But the first one to come was IIMA, and I still remember it was October 30th. and their website said it is due on October 31st.
Okay.
But the day before only I was getting super anxious because this is my second time. I'm
Yeah.
not going to apply for any further. And I was like, what will happen tomorrow? If I'm not getting into it, then there is again the waiting period, that anxious waiting period for the further results.
Yeah.
Then boom, it happened. The IIMs dropped the email that the results are announced. You just checked into your account and see the results. I was like, I already decided that I'm not going to see the results this time. I asked my husband, I gave him the credentials. He was in office. I was working from home. That you just go check and let me know the results. I will be in meeting. So you just text me. I will see whatever happens. But then after 10 minutes, my parents were there at the time. They just, my mom, she rushed in like, why are you not picking up calls? You are already in IMA. I was like super, more than happiness, I will say I was super anxious, super relieved.
Right.
Because now I do not have to worry about any other result. I can just make up my mind if I'm not getting any other admits as well. And I remember my toddler, he was just 1 year, 2 months. He just rushed in. I just hugged him. Okay, we are going to IMA, baby. That was the feeling. And that day we celebrated with a good dinner.
Right.
And then the results, afterwards, in next 15-20 days, the other results started pouring in. First, IIM B, it came. Although I was like, it went neutral for me,
Yeah.
the interview experience. But yeah, I got that. I was waiting for any scholarships, but I did not get any. Now comparing between A and B became a little easier because had I received any scholarship, I would have given a thought. But now it is more like where I fit properly. So A and B, then B was convenient for me because I'm already living in Bangalore. I do not have to uproot my entire ecosystem to go there. But A, I finally chose A because of the fit, because of the cohort, and that was for me. Then ISB came in the third, and this time ISB, uh, the comparison was a bit more, what I'll say, personal for me because the entire MBA journey started with my thought of ISB.
Okay.
So now comparing A and ISB became a big task. It is a huge task, and I checked with dozens of alums, current students, even my would-be batchmates at ISB, IMA, and it increasingly became clear that currently my age, my work ex, it all fits more with the A. It's not just about the brand of A, which is very good, but also about how I fit into it. So that made me choose IIM A. And in between, also I received IIM C result, which I also got in. But then I had already made up my mind after a lot of due diligence. So finally, I selected A, and
Excellent, excellent. That was really a very, very interesting and happening journey, I would say. As a kind of closing remarks or thoughts, anything, I mean, as a reapplicant or someone coming from a, kind of technical, slightly underrepresented industry, anything that you'd like to share in terms of, tips or suggestions to keep in mind, couple of them for future applicants?
Definitely. First of all, when in my second application, I was skeptical, to be honest. But during this process, my mentor, my people surrounding me, all those previous experiences that made me realize that the strengths of my profile. I come from a high tech aerospace background. I also have a shop floor and operation experience. And the current trend is on digital transformation. I have also worked on that. So this was a very like compatible things at a very cutting edge combo right now. So that was the biggest strength of my profile. And it gives you that unique advantage over other candidates. So underrepresented sections, the features, you make use of it. You highlight it properly in your essays, in your stories, and how you are utilizing it to your maximum benefit. That counts. Secondly, in the preparation journey, you have to brainstorm your stories like very meticulously. Right. So that's why you take the GMAT prep out of the picture as early as possible, because you never know, it might take one single take or multiple takes. So if that is out, your mind is free for the brainstorming. So give enough time for that. And lastly, the interview preparation should be solid, because you should be there is this thing going on, like you should be yourself in the interview, but I would say you should not be completely yourself, but you should be what you are becoming, how you are improving, the one you want to see yourself 5 years or 10 years down the lane. So be prepared, bring that conviction and bring that confidence, and the panel always wants to see prepared candidates. So preparation goes for all the stages. That would be my tip.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks so much for sharing this, Smruti, and all the best with your journey at IIM.
Sure. Thank you so much, Manis. Thanks.
I hope you found this interview helpful. At MBA Crystal Ball, we've helped many applicants get into the elite business schools, often with scholarships. Reach out if you're looking for professional help with your applications. Good luck.